mean, that sounds one of the awesome learnings you have done throughout all of these interviews. But before we leave the topic of just some of the highlight people, so to speak, if you mentioned Max Tegmark and the Norwegian star as well. If you were to mention just one or two more, anyone that you really were struck by in some way, who would that be?
Oh well, I would say that I'll just take two people up front. One is another researcher at MIT, Regina Barzelay, who is doing research about how to use AI in the fight of cancer, and how she talks about the medical industry as being very hesitant.
So medical industry is hesitant.
Yeah, everything from hospitals to mainly the not drug discovery part, because they can make money out of this, but hospitals and authorities,
system.
The healthcare system, and I understand that they might be very cautious because you're talking about people's lives here, but it impressed me that they are working. They have like a rather steep hill to climb up, because even if they were to still show good research results, it would take a lot of work to get it implemented.
Yes.
Put into practice.
Yes.
And put it in production. Which is
exactly. So, but she seemed like this energetic person that would not be defeated in the first time. So she was inspiring in that way. And another person was a student at a high school outside of Stockholm who was talking she reflected very intelligently about how to use AI in her life as a student. And it impressed me that you didn't have to have like a formal training in this to discover how to use it yourself. So that makes me hopeful that you don't have to have all these upskilling and reskilling courses that are talked about these days. People can do a lot themselves if they just start testing things out.
Yeah. And then the core denominator comes back to almost how we started this conversation. Start using it. Start getting your own point of view on it. Then you will start thinking about this. So it's the scary part is when we're not really in tune at all with it, I think.
And sure, of course, it's cool meeting the CEO of Google and
how was that,
etc. Well, that was.
Did you have done? Was that done earlier, or
that was done before we started doing this AI
because he
documentary?
was in Sweden, right?
Yeah, he was in Sweden, and I got 20 minutes with him, and I had time to cover a lot of topics during that time, and then also.
What was your takeaway there, or what was his main message?
Well, the takeaway was okay. We were perhaps a bit late releasing our AI sports car, but better get it out rolling now than not at all.
So the race was clear. That he had to come.
He was number 2 out on the racetrack. And it was very clear that now they were doing everything to kind of get ahead of Verstappen.
But I think the AI race is something that we can speak more about. I think that's an interesting topic to get back to later.
And then let's see, there were 6 episodes. So remind us again how they were lined up.
Yeah, the first one is called Creative Machines. It's about generative AI and the creative industry. Yes. How it changes music production, marketing. Spotify people, Gustav Söderström there, for instance, and Per Sundin at Pop House talking about investments they've done in pure AI, A&R companies. But also the movies. We were going down to Gothenburg Film Festival, where they had a special AI theme this year, and they had this special remake of Ingmar Bergman's Persona, where they replaced Liv Ullmann, the actor, with Alma Pöysti, a new star.
So strange.
And it was very strange. And it was also very hush-hush, because it was a one-off experiment with the only people having seen the movie were us sitting in that cinema at that time, and then no one will see it. Well, very strange.
But it was almost like a piece, an art piece that goes into the debate.
Yeah, exactly. It was meant like as a debate piece, I think. And then we touch on we met this great creative director.
Carl Axel, right?
Carl Axel, exactly. Carl Axel
He's been on the pod as well.
Yeah.
The fashion, AI fashion.
Exactly.
So cool.
And he was so inspiring when he talked about how he spends endless hours refinishing, iterating, prompting once again, using another AI tool on top of a third AI tool.
We got the whole scoop here. In 2 hours, we dissected his process, right? So it's all AI, but it's not one thing. It's many things.
Exactly. And come to thinking of it, I think I discovered him listening to your podcast, actually. So thanks for that. And so that was a really great guy to meet. And that was the first episode, more or less. And then the second episode is about school and education system, how that will change with AI. The third one is the very big question of how jobs will be affected. Will it steal my job or not? And the fourth episode was the risks. It's called the end of the world, more or less. And then the fifth episode is Paradise, the utopian side of it, and the sixth is called Avatar. It's my personal experience of creating an avatar of myself on top of an AI news bot to see how much of news production and presentation can I let to AI.
Yeah, and then you had Henrik Nyberg help me, who was actually the backstory here is that he was supposed to come on this pod a couple of weeks earlier, and I'm busy with SVT doing a piece, and then he showed up more or less like the week after he was sort of done. I think you worked intensely for a couple of weeks on that.
Yeah, they were hacking together some off-the-shelf AI products to put together into an interface that I could use.
But it's an interesting thing, like. He could do a hack in a couple of weeks with off-the-shelf stuff, like almost for free, as a showpiece. Think about what you can really do.
Yeah, and that's so fascinating. That as long as you're in the know of where to look, and you have to be able to stitch them together. So you have to have some
coding, but you're stitching. You're more stitching and coding.
Yeah. And you have an eye for the use case.
Yes.
Then you can be in business now. We're in this part of and this takes me back to the end of the 90s and the feeling then when I shut the open window. Right. That was an era of opportunities, endless opportunities. I mean, I could go out to big Swedish companies as a 19-year-old, 20-year-old.
And they were listening to you.
They were listening to me because I came from this cool internet agency that was supposed to know everything about the digital future. So of course we listened to this whiz kid. And I didn't know very much more than what I have learned from my smart friends there and from just hanging out in the right forums on the online. And now we're at the same kind of era, this window of opportunities where you can, there's so much that can be done with not too many resources, so many people can get a go at it.
And I think one of the misconceptions, because working on this in large enterprise, you think typically this is so expensive, this is so big, and it can be done in this and this. And of course it is if you do it in a certain way, with all the guardrails as a large enterprise. But if you flip it, how easy is it actually to stitch together an ALEX in a couple of weeks that becomes the intern and your companion?
Yeah.
It's quite amazing as well, right? How easy if you flip it.
Cool. And you brushed over all the episodes very quickly there. And perhaps if we just go through them a bit one by one, and thinking about the creative machines in the beginning and some perhaps surprising highlights. Is something that you were surprised to learn during what AI can do as a creative coworker, assistant, intern, or whatever you like to call it?
Let's go back to Carl Axel, who was a previous guest here on this show. Something that struck me talking to him and learning how he works is the insight that AI doesn't mean less work for him.
Right. Oh, that's a good one.
It's a demanding craft. If you want to be really excellent, I mean, of course, if you just want to get a random picture of a Madame Antoinette in an American football field, you'll get it. But it's not the picture that you had envisioned. If you want to take the machine to deliver to you what your vision is, that's a craft in itself. That's time-consuming. That demands skill and experience.
Yeah, and this is just a simple next abstraction layer of what is your tool to do your craft. Is it a camera? Is it your sketch block? Or now it's a different set of tools?
It's another tool. And then on the other side, if you talk about it from a jobs perspective, in his industry, the advertising industry, the creative industry, thanks to this tool, fewer people are needed in producing the end result.
Yeah.
But the people who work with it, they are needed and work a lot.
Yeah.
So jumping to the job sector then, I guess, some people are very afraid about, AI replacing people. Some people think that, well, perhaps we still have, so many things we need to do. It's just will allow us to be more productive and do more stuff. What's your main thinking when it comes to impact on job markets?
I was talking today earlier with someone about this, and I think my conclusion was this.